Good morning, my Montville families. This is Miss Jessica. I am coming to you for our fairy tale story time. I hope last week that you enjoyed Little Red Riding Hood. Today, this is kind of a funny version of Little Red Riding Hood. This week's story is called Honestly, Red Riding Hood Was Rotten. So this, of course, is told by the wolf's point of view. And he said, "No, it was not me. It is not my fault. It's all Riding Hood's fault. She was truly a rotten little girl." So let's see if you agree with him or not. Okay. So again, this is the funny version of the story. And look, she's like, "Come here, little wolf." And he's like, "Ooh," with a little smile. Chomp, chomp. "Oh, I'm sorry. I was just finishing my lunch. My name's Wolf. Big Bad Wolf. You may have heard the story of Little Red Riding Hood. About a girl and her granny? Seems everyone has. My tale is different." Oh, did I say tail like the fluffy one? No, I meant tale as in story. "Once upon a time, I ran out of food completely. The cupboards were bare, the freezer too, and I'd eaten every last vegetable and fruit in the garden, every one. Other wolves might have lunched on little forest critters, chipmunks, bunnies, squirrels, but I'm a vegetarian. That's right, I don't eat meat. Well, I try not to. I love apples. Honeycrisp, Pink Lady, Golden Delicious, any kind, really. But sadly, it was a long time until apple harvest. I hadn't eaten in weeks. My stomach growled and howled. It moaned and groaned. It even roared. Then my nose took over. Sniff, sniff. I took a whiff. What was it? A girl. Sniff, sniff. I took a whiff. What was it? Cake? Butter? In this forest? I had to investigate. And there she was, Little Red Riding Hood. She looked as plump and juicy as a big, sweet apple. Little Red waved her cape. "Isn't it pretty?" she said. "Yeah," I said. "Aren't I pretty?" she said. Was she admiring herself in that puddle? "With this cape," she said, "I'm even prettier than usual." Boy, someone sure was full of herself, and my stomach growled. Little Red twirled a strand of hair. "Mother says the cape looks grand with my skin. My skin shines like pearls." Or the meat of a ripe apple, I thought, licking my chops. Remember, I hadn't eaten in weeks. Time to chomp. But then Little Red said, "I can't wait until Granny sees how pretty I am today. I'm bringing her cake and butter from my mother." My stomach howled. 2 meals, I thought. Granny for breakfast, Little Red for lunch, and cake and butter for dessert. Where does Granny live?" I asked. Little Red pointed. "Down there in the clearing, the brown house." I knew that house, and I had a plan. "Let's play a game," I said. Little Red smiled. "I'm awesome at games." "I bet you are," I said. "You take this path, I'll take that path, and let's see who arrives at Granny's first." "I will," she said. "I'm the prettiest and the fastest." "I bet you are," I said. My stomach moaned. Before it groaned, I ran. No one knows the forest like I do, and I chose the shorter path. Sniff, sniff. I took a whiff. What was that? Apple air freshener. Tap, tap. I knocked on the door. "Who's there?" called out a voice. "Your granddaughter," I squeaked. "I've brought you cake and butter from Mother." "Door's open," Granny said. Granny tugged at her nightcap. Green, she said. Isn't it pretty? Pretty like a Granny Smith apple, I thought. Aren't I pretty? Granny said. You must have heard the saying, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Well, it's true. My stomach roared. What's that noise? Granny asked. Chomp, chomp. I had to eat her. She was no Macintosh apple, but not bad. I still felt hungry. Tap, tap. Little Red knocked on the door. Who's there? I called out, crawling into Granny's bed. Your granddaughter, Little Red said. I've brought you cake and butter from Mother. Doors open, I said. Little Red walked in and caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror. Isn't my cape pretty, Granny? She said. Aren't I pretty? I clenched my teeth. Granny, Little Red said. What deep dark eyes I have. I said. The color of apple seeds. Granny, she said. What perfect ears I have. I said. Shaped like sharply cut apple slices. Granny, she said. What pretty red lips I have. I said. Red delicious. Granny, she said. What lovely skin I have. Chomp, chomp. I ate her up. What can I say? Things look different when you're hungry. She was no Fuji or Crispin apple. In fact, to be honest, I think she was a bit rotten. But she was better than nothing. Plus, I got dessert. That wolf sure liked that book, huh? So I don't know if you agree with the wolf or if you agree with Little Red Riding Hood on that one. Well, that was a pretty short book. I actually have one more story for you today. This one is called The Wolf Story. What really happened to Little Red Riding Hood. So today I'm going to read you a second story. I hope you enjoy it. So here's the wolf. Let me turn it a little bit. And here's Granny. It said, no, please. Look at me. Would I lie to you? It was the old woman who started it. I did nothing wrong, would I? We hit it off from the beginning. Not everyone likes a wolf, do they? Look at you. You're not certain. Would you like to come and sit a little closer while I tell you about the kid? I don't bite. No? You sure? Okay, it's up to you. So this is another story where the wolf is going to tell you how it really happened. It's not from Little Red Riding's perspective. The wolf is going to tell you the real story. Anyway, I did odd jobs for the old woman. Called her Grandma. We were close. I put up shelves. I did the shopping. I tidied the garden. I even altered her clothes, sewed on buttons, that kind of thing. I'm versatile. Sort of a new wolf, vegetarian cuisine a specialty. If I eat any more lettuce, I'll turn green. But that's too much information. Are you sure you don't want to sit just a little bit closer? Every week, the kid came with a big basket of toffee. I tell you, that toffee was so bad, it made Grandma's teeth stick together. And you don't want toffee messing up with your false teeth. But Grandma looked forward to seeing the kid. She even made her a red cape so she could see the kid coming. Did anyone ever make me a cape? Me? I didn't like the kid being there. She never spoke to me. She seemed nervous. Can you believe that? When Little Red was there, I felt left out. I tried to join in. I even offered to eat the toffee, and that stuff could ruin a wolf's good teeth. So you can see how I tried. But they just ignored me. The day it happened was like this. I saw the kid coming with her big basket of toffee. I was out looking for some fresh herbs in the forest, and I tried to pass the time of day with her. But she pretended to not know me and hurried on. That's the sort of kid she was. Like I'm frightening. Eh? Then I scooted back the quick way to warn Grandma to hide her teeth from the toffee. The kid always took a long time to get there. You know how slow kids are. When I got back, Grandma was reaching for her best dress in the wardrobe and couldn't reach the hook. And this is the part where it went all wrong. I tried to help her get into it, but she fell over right into the wardrobe, and you know how it is. Grandma got a tiny, teeny bump on her head that knocked her cold, and the kid was banging on the door. All right, I panicked. It looked bad. Not everyone trusts a wolf. I thought they might say I'd done something bad to Grandma. Me? Nah. Anyway, I shut the wardrobe, put the dress on, sort of thought I could cover it up and pretend to be Grandma till she was better. I have to admit, I don't have the best legs for the dress, so I jumped into bed. Anyone would have thought I was Grandma. Then the kid came in and started acting strange. She was pretending to be scared again, and she wouldn't come close. "Oh, Grandma," she said, "what big eyes you have." "Got rid of my glasses," I told her. "I've got these new contacts. They're really smart. When you first put them in, they'd make anyone's eyes look big." It was the first time we'd had a talk, and she wasn't that bad, really. Looked good enough to eat, if you know what I mean. "Oh, Grandma," she said, "what big ears you have." Now, these are good ears, but I have to admit they aren't a lot like Grandma's, so of course they're pretty furry as well. "Oh, these old things," I said, and I tried to change the subject. "Oh, Grandma," she said, "what big teeth you have." And this is what made it worse. She was about to pop one of her sticky toffees into my mouth, and I couldn't stand that, so I leaped out of bed. And it may have looked as though I was going to eat her or something as she started screaming, "Wolf! Wolf! You eaten my Grandma!" Do I look like the sort of wolf that goes around like eating grandmas? It got worse. The door swung open, and there was a woodsman the size of a tree with an axe. I shouted for help, but Grandma was still out cold in the wardrobe. She would have told you the truth. She really would have. The woodsman took a swing at me, and I was this close to being a fur coat. I jumped out the window with the sound of the axe crashing down beside me. Oh, poor little Red Riding Hood. Last page. I ran all the way down to town, and I have to tell you, a wolf in a dress is an embarrassed wolf. People were laughing, and that's not nice. Anyway, thanks for listening. And if you do want any odd jobs done around the house, just get in touch. Here's my card. I'm cheap. I'm a neat worker, completely trustworthy, and I don't make a meal of it. No, please, look at me. Would I lie to you? Aw, and his poor little tail got chopped off. So after these two stories, you have to really think. Was it Little Red Riding Hood who was the victim? Oh, she got eaten by the wolf. Or was really the wolf the victim and Little Red Riding was the meanie? I don't know, you have to think after these stories. I hope you enjoyed my story time this week. And I hope everybody is having a wonderful summer. And I miss you and I can't wait to see everybody. Bye, everybody.